And welcome all. Welcome to this third episode of You Better Call Mussolini. A daring episode all the way from Italy, where I will have the pleasure maybe to answer your calls. Let me repeat once again that this program, You Better Call Mussolini, and in the future, you'll be able to send some emails as well to bettercallmussolini@gmail.com. This program is broadcast at 21 hours, that is to say 9 p.m. Indian time. There's a political reason for this, given the fact that Europe has decided to commit suicide, falling once again into a deadly trap, the trap of a continental war against the Russian Federation. In this program, I will also have the pleasure, if you want to receive your phone call and answer all kind of questions you would like to ask. I therefore invite you. Good afternoon, Bob, and good afternoon, Manfredi Basile. Thank you very much for being here. If you want to call me using the application WhatsApp at the number that appears here below my face, +39 376 22 58765. And thank you, Bob, for having called me in the previous episode. In any case, many questions that need to be asked, and I did receive some emails already, and I'll have the pleasure to reply to some of these questions. Manfredi Basile, I'm sorry, but I cannot read your message in Italian. Let me remind you that I am the leader of a great party, the NFP, the National Fertility Party, a party that wants to correct the Italian fertility rate, which is one of the lowest in the world, together with Japan and Korea. So low that by 2050, the majority of the Italian population will disappear. If Shakespeare himself said, "We are the stuff dreams are made of," or made of the same stuff dreams are made of, or whatever he said, well, it may be that the majority of the Italian population will disappear as in a dream, or better said, a nightmare. And therefore, this party, the NFP, the National Fertility Party, is coming to the foreground to correct the situation. And also, today, fortunately, my roommate is not sleeping, so perhaps I'll manage to give you a phone call. That's very nice. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much, Manfredi. And today also will illustrate some points of the NFP, the National Fertility Party. Before I read the questions, many questions, I think 10 questions I did receive on my email account, bettercallmussolini@gmail.com. Meanwhile, let me open the phone calls in case you want to call. That's open. That's fantastic. And if you don't, that's all right. I carry on. For revolutions are not made by a majority, by a determined minority. And that's what we are. Just 2 or 3. That doesn't matter. It's all right. We carry on. And if necessary, we carry on for years. Until this message, the message of the NFP, spreads all over the world. But before I continue, it is time for a commercial, and then we just carry on with the businesses of the day. Let me see. And here he comes.
Warm up with a good cup of choo-sharing coffee. It's choo-choo time.
Chucharin, a daring coffee, an Italian coffee, black, strong, strongly autarkic. I dare say even patriarchal in some ways. A coffee like you never drunk before. Not that American garbage that you find those fast foods all over the United States. No, this is true coffee. A coffee that keeps you awake. A coffee that makes you strong. A coffee, I dare say, that would even enhance your sexuality. This is Chucharin coffee. It's Chucha time. Sorry about that. E la cavolata del giorno l'abbiamo detta. In any case, we're here. Let me read some questions and let us begin. Actually, before we begin with the questions, there is something I would like to say to the British audience out there. As you know, our party, the NFP, is participating in these European elections. Sorry. And the second point of our party, I remind you, that the first point of our party is to reopen the so-called in Italian case chiuse, that is to say the brothels, in order to have our male population becoming active once again, be yanked out from the destructive woke ideology. We want those males to get down to business and correct our fertility curve. In any case, that's the first point of our party. And the second point of our party is the Bruxit, which is not a Brexit. And many people may confuse Bruxit with Brexit. That's a big mistake. It's completely different. Where Brexit was a vote of the United Kingdom that decided to sever its ties with the European Union, a vote that was in a way justified because, of course, this monster, this sewage, una fogna, we say in Italian, that is called the European Union, is in reality a totalitarian project that wants to direct the life of every single European individual. And if Brexit was, in a way, a vote, as I said before, that was justified, there was within that vote a flow. The flow of not thinking about Europe, which I consider a great civilization united by its Greek, Roman, and Christian past. And of course, Great Britain, the United Kingdom, is part of this civilization. And it is our intention to recuperate our British brothers, in this new project, which is a project of the Bruxit. What is the Bruxit? Let me explain. It's very easy. Our intention is to take all the European bureaucrats of the European Union, including Ursula von der Crazy, a woman that would like to throw the whole continent, 400 million souls, into a continental war, a failure of a politician who was kicked away from Germany to find a new house in the so-called European Union. A sewage, as I said. Like all sewages, an organization that collects all the excrements of European politics. That is to weigh the losers. Not a group of winners, a group of losers. In any case, our project is to take all the bureaucrats of the European Union and deport them to the North Pole, where they will be frozen at an average temperature of minus 35 degrees Celsius, in order not to be found by anyone. Like in some science fiction movies, if we're not able to destroy the aliens, we find ourselves forced to freeze them so that they can never be found. We therefore freeze them all at a temperature, as I said, of minus 35 degrees Celsius, underground, 1-2 kilometers. We want to make sure, of course, that they're never found by anyone. You may never know. There could be a hothead out there that would like to free them so they can run around again, causing havoc and trouble. No, this is a Bruxit. And within the Bruxit, which is different from the Brexit, there is also the dream of a new Europe, a Europe of diversity, given the fact that this continent, which hosts this incredible millenary civilization, the cradle of philosophy, the cradle of incredible art, the cradle of literature, hosts an incredible number of languages and cultures and so on and so forth. Sorry, that's right. Anyway, so Mattia Cazzanelli, thank you. Good afternoon from Bucharest. Nikidman 71, Samuele. Once again, I'll keep carrying on. This program will last 45 minutes, 44 and a half, I dare say. Maybe 31 seconds. You never know. I'm very precise on these matters. And let me continue. Let me read a question, first of all, one of the many questions I did receive. If you want to ask a question, which I'll be glad to answer in the future, you can write to bettercallmussolini@gmail.com, and I'll be glad to read your emails. Now, lots of questions here. Let me read. So, Duce, that's me. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. You know that. The European Union is discussing further measures to combat climate change. How does Italy intend to align its environmental policies with these proposed EU initiatives? Well, first of all, my dear friend, and I will not read your name, of course, for privacy reasons, whatever the pronunciation is. And that's bizarre about this language, English, the fact that many words have a double pronunciation. Neither, tomato, che cavolo, insomma. German, that's a nice language. Precise, Teutonic. Anyway, doesn't matter. Well, as far as the European Union, as I said before, our intention with the Bruxit is to sever any connection with it. So personally, I don't give a tossa. Me ne frego. I don't care, for the people that don't speak Italian, of the so-called European directives regarding climate change, because I'm utterly convinced that behind those directives there is the totalitarian design of a globalist and financial system, plutocratic, I dare say, that not only wants to control consensus, but it also wants to control the opposition, putting us on the same track, on the same train. I'm sorry, there's a person here in a second. On the same train, the same track, letting us decide who the driver is going to be. And they call that freedom. That's funny. That's my laughter when I'm really happy. So basically, we have no choice. And of course, the 100 people, because it's not more than 100, believe me, that control this continent can use the excuse of fighting climate change to impose their will, making a fortune out of that. I find quite ironic that the same people that are polluting the planet, the same handful of people, the globalist elite, are the same people that would like to show us the solution. And this is the general framework. Sorry, I squashed the microphone. I hope. The general vision. Of course, our party, the National Fertility Party, has a beacon guiding its policy the fact of protecting the territory, because every true patriot that loves his land, his fatherland or motherland, would like to protect it. But that protection will not come from a bunch of bureaucrats closed inside their offices in Brussels. That protection will come from the base, from the people, from the very people that live in a territory and that would like to see its territory preserved. Their territory is preserved. What may be good for Greece or Britain may not be good for Italy. Geographically, every country in Europe is different. Think about Holland. How different it is from Italy, for example. It is therefore necessary to carry on with our project, the Bruxit, in order to free ourselves from the chains of Brussels and carry out a politic to defend the environment based on the reality of our territory, the reality of our economy, and the reality of the people that live in this beautiful land, Italy. One of the most beautiful countries of the world. And with that, I'm finished. I'm sorry. All right. So here I see some comments in Italian. Unfortunately, I remind you that we have the same program in Italian at 21:30. If somebody wants to call, the phone number on WhatsApp is, sorry, just checking on the phone right here. Yes, is +39 376 225 8765. And let's carry on. Let's walk and let's read the next email. Now, His Excellency, that would be me, yes. Duce, still me. China has recently announced a significant economic reform agenda. How does Italy plan to engage with China on economic cooperation while addressing concerns about human rights and geopolitical tensions? That's a great question. Peter, I'll just say his first name, Peter. Now the question is about China. Peter, well, first of all, vi ringrazio, thank you very much for this question. But before I speak about China in general, I think it's important to underline what is happening. Or better said, what are the consequences of the war that the globalists have waged against Russia. Has pushed Russia right in the arms of the Chinese. Let me give you some data so that you can understand better what I want to say. In 1989, the year of the fall of the Berlin Wall, China produced less than 2% or accounted for less than 2% of the world economy. Today, China accounts for more than 25%. and manufactures 30% of all the 30%, sorry, of all the products manufactured in the world. That is to say, if you take 3 cars, 1 car is produced by China. If you take 3 lamps, 1 lamp is produced by China. If you take 3 dildos, 1 dildo is produced by China. And China consumes only 13% of what it does produce. In other words, we have an incredible country, a huge country, with a massive industrial capacity that is forced to export this industrial capacity to the rest of the world. And together with Russia, this new industrial force seems unstoppable, given the fact that Russia is the only country in the world that has all the chemical elements contained in the table of Mendelssohn. We've created the perfect match. E bravo, Rimbam Biden. Thank you, Biden. That was very smart. Ma proprio furbo, eh? So what is happening right now is that China is in deflation, which is a country of inflation. Given that the country is going through a period of economic crisis. In a deflation, the producers, that is to say the manufacturers, cut the prices of their products. If I take Tesla, for example, American car maker led by Elon Musk, a famous Italian entrepreneur known as Elonio Moscatelli, but that's another story. Well, Tesla had to cut its prices 4 times in China. It has 2% of the Chinese market, and with that 2%, it makes 30% of its revenues. So what expects us in the future, thanks to this fantastic war provoked by the Americans, thank you very much, grazie, is a massive financial crisis that is going to hit Europe like a tsunami, given the fact that Europe cannot compete with Godzilla and King Kong put together, China and Russia. For the United States, it's a completely different story, given the fact that the United States has a lot of raw materials anyway. But Europe has none, and it has an aging population. I'm personally not concerned when dealing with China with the internal politics of the Chinese government. Italy, unlike the United States, does not like to point fingers at people at random, deciding who is good, who is bad. I'll speak about the United States of America, of course. And I would like the exchange between China and Italy to be cultural, most of all. In my ideal world, some Chinese will speak Italian and some Italians will speak Chinese. After all, the Chinese and the Italians are not so different, in a way. And Italy in the past was not afraid to go around the world to trade and exchange culturally with other countries. Just thinking right now about the great Marco Polo, and let me remind you, if I'm not mistaken, that we celebrate this year 400 years from his death, birth, whatever, I don't remember right now. The story of Italy is the story of the cities. It is not the story of a nation state that imposed its will through colonization. Yes, Yes, I know there were some exceptions here and there, and I was responsible for them. What can I say? Si sbaglia. In any case, the story of Italy, it's a story, the history, sorry, of Italy. The history of Italy is a history of the city-states. Venice, Florence, Genova, Pisa, Milan, and so on and so forth. The first exchange in London, the stock market exchange, was based in Lombard Street, and that's not a case. La Strada dei Lombardi, because Italian traders traveled all over Europe and beyond Europe. Let me remind you that America was discovered by the great Italian navigator Amerigo Vespucci. And Canada was discovered by the great Giovanni Caboto. The fact that a country needs necessarily to be vast in both land and population in order to be successful is a legend. And if you look at history, some of the most successful countries were rather small, both in number and in territorial extension at the beginning. It is culture that makes a difference. And I hope I answered this question. As far as human rights are concerned, just look what is happening in Israel. Are we doing anything about it? Is there any sanction against the state of Israel, who's slaughtering the Palestinian population? No. So, my dear Peter, worry about what you can control. What we live in today, it's a bizarre era, an era, I would say, of hypocrisy. And with that, I'm finished. Sorry about that. All right, maybe it was too serious as a speech, but in any case, let me lighten up the atmosphere and let's play a small commercial. We still have 15 minutes. If you want to call, I remind you the phone number, which is +39 376 225 8765. Or if you want to write me, bettercallmussolini@gmail.com, and I'll be glad to answer your questions next week. Meanwhile, a short commercial. We'll be back in a second. Oops, sorry. Here it comes.
Mussolini.shop, vintage audace.
Mussolini.shop, punto shop in Italian. A great online shop. An online shop that sells vintage products that are inspired by the 1930s, an age, a period in the 1930s where Italy had the courage to become a cultural and industrial power, creating an economy diverse and rich, and facing all the technological challenges all the time. Sorry. All right. So here it comes. There will be a live in Italian this evening at 21:30, right? Yes, there will be. There will be, of course, the live version in Italian and in the future. Oops. Oh my goodness. Let me put this. All right. know what happened. Let me be okay now. Something just went crazy. I just switch off the phone and restart it. Sorry about that. Let me. Yeah, sorry about that. Yes, it's all right. It's probably a Bolshevik attempt to sabotage this program. That's all right, but we're not scared. We know what to do with the Bolsheviks. Anyway, sorry. Yes, so there will be the program 2130. And also, let me remind you that next season, probably starting for September, we're going to have the same program in Spanish for our Spanish audience so that we can speak the language of the United States of America. That'd be great. So, la lengua de los Estados Unidos de América. All right. So, let me read another question. So, Duce, that's me once again. My name, what's the name here? Sorry, I can't read very well. My name is Henry, and I come from Nigeria. Hello, Henry. That's great. A question from Nigeria. So happy. Unfortunately, my uncle died. I'm really sorry about that, Henry. My condolences. And he left $5 million that I need to cash in. Oh my goodness. Well, Henry, good for you. I mean, I'm sorry for your uncle, but still. I must say that your uncle was, really cared about you, Henry, and that's very good. Questo mi piace, è molto importante. La famiglia è importante. I would need somebody who could send me his bank account coordinates so that I could cash in the money, which I would then, Peter. All right. All right. I understand. Well, Peter, what can I say? I'm really sorry about your loss. It is tragic to lose an uncle. Although he left you with $5 million in cash, whatever. Unfortunately, I cannot give you my bank coordinates. They're private. But keep on trying. Send thousands of emails out there. I'm sure there will be some imbecile that is going to reply to your email and give you his bank coordinates or her bank coordinates. So that he can make you and your family happy. You have my blessing, Peter. Carry on with your work. I'm sorry about your uncle. Why? Doesn't matter. Anyway. Right. So let's continue. We have 18:04. We still have 6 minutes. And I'm going to read maybe another question. Somebody was going to call me, but I'm sorry about what happened. I don't know what happened. All right. Doesn't matter. So, yeah. Anyway, in the future, you may call me if you want to. You're not forced to call me. Unfortunately, I cannot engage in telepathy. But in any case, you can write me. BetterCallMussolini@gmail.com. So, Henry, if you want my bank coordinates, I invite you to call me. I may not give them to you, but anyway, we can share some stories about your uncle. What a nice person he must have been, leaving you all the money. Anyway, doesn't matter. So let me read another question. The World Health Organization, the Duce, of course, His Excellency, and so on and so forth. Sorry, I'm just skipping that one. Otherwise, it's boring. The World Health Organization, the WHO, is calling for global action to address the ongoing. No, what is that? That's an old question. No, sorry. That's not correct. Let me see. The United States has announced a new set of sanctions against Iran. How does Italy plan to navigate its relationship with Iran amidst these escalating tensions? That's a good question. And this is a woman asking this question. I will not tell her name, but anyway, a lady. That's very nice. I like it. All right. And I think with this question, with the reply to this question, we can close this broadcast. And I'm sorry nobody called, but it doesn't matter. Non importa. I invite you to the same broadcast tonight. I'm sorry, I'm just crying. It's, the story of Henry and his uncle has an effect. We're all human beings. In any case, I was saying, The same program will be played at 21:30. And for the people, the lucky people who live in Italy, this glorious country, I will also give away some gifts during the program, asking some questions of general culture relating about me and so on and so forth. Iran, the old Persia. The majority of Americans, I speak about Americans because it seems that the only kind of news that we get here in Europe is vehicled in a way by the American media in their utter ignorance. Don't know anything about Iran, the old Persia. It is a country that personally I would like to visit one day. A country which is often confused with Arab countries. A country that has a pre-Islamic civilization. The only country in the Islamic world that can say with pride to have, for instance, a theater tradition due to the Hellenic influence of Alexander the Great. I'm sure it must be a beautiful country. And a country that recently has come to terms and peace with Saudi Arabia. As you know, Iran is a Shiite country, whereas Saudi Arabia, in a way, symbolically represents the center of Sunni Islam. And by the way, given we are at it, let me say in Arabic, I'm sorry, I don't know Iranian, Farsi, Eid Mubarak, given that today is a big feast for the Islamic world, where the end of Ramadan is celebrated. Eid Mubarak. It is quite ironic that the United States of America wants to sanction Iran and at the same time created the situation where Iran has become a major power in the area after the illegal war waged by the United States of America against Iraq, which left a power vacuum in the area. It seems that the Americans enjoy, for reasons obscure to me, to create a mess and then yet another mess in order to solve the mess they created before. In the new world which is emerging, which is a multipolar world, we had the unipolar moment with the United States of America as the sole leading country, which basically ended in 2014, if I have to put a date on it. Well, in this new world, pointing fingers at people or countries, telling them how they should be run internally, I think is utterly wrong. It is a dangerous word. And I must say, although of course I cannot praise the Iranian government for obvious reasons, that in any way it is a very patient government, especially after the illegal attack perpetrated by Israel against the Iranian consulate in Syria. No matter what government rules a country, I'm utterly convinced that the people of these countries want peace, trade, wealth for themselves and their families. And I think this should be the relationship we should have with these countries. Rather than pointing fingers at them, we should set an example for them. And speaking about Iran, I must say that there is an ancient Persian goddess that I personally would like to call as inspiration and symbol of our party, the NFP, the National Fertility Party. I'm speaking about the goddess Anahita, the goddess of fertility. Iran is not only a Muslim country, but as I said, it's a country with strong roots in the past and a pre-Islamic tradition. It is the cradle of the first monotheistic religion. And let me salute also the Zarathustrian friends that live in Iran. Many people ignore that. But in Iran, there is a minority called the Zarathustrians, from Zarathustra, the first monotheistic religion of the world. Also, the name inspired Nietzsche, a famous German philosopher, but that's another story. So I hope I answered that question. Anyway, thank you very much for having followed me. I will be back next Wednesday, 4:30 UK time, 9 p.m. Indian time, and I would like to receive maybe a phone call from India, given that India is the future and is going through a period of elections. Tonight there will be the same program in Italian. And wherever you are, Canada, Australia, UK, whatever, let me wish you from the bottom of my heart the goodwill for you and your families. We will prevail, I'm sure. And like always, viva l'Italia! Thank you.